Hello, John Bloodworth, Gentleman Crafter here with another of my adventures in machine embroidery videos. This time around I'm taking a look at making some custom key fobs using machine embroidery. Okay, so we're going to make this project really quickly in Hatch Embroidery Digitizing software. So here is the original file that I created. I'll start by creating a new file. And then I'll zoom out a little bit. And the first thing that I want to do is get the rectangular shape on. So we're going to go with fill. I'm going to leave it on tatami, and I will just roughly place the shape. I'm going to right click on the hoop and set the hoop position to manual so that I can position this where I need it to be. Oops. I will select the shape that's just been digitized, turn off proportional scaling and set the width to be 0.9 inches by 6. And that gives me a nice long strip. Now what I want to do is change the fill type, and I'm going to do a stipple stitch for this one. I'm going to change a few of the settings in the object properties docker. That should do me. And then before I move on, from the Create Layouts toolbox, I'm going to create an offset outline at 1/4 inch and just one of them. There we go. Now I need to add the text, so I'm going to the lettering toolbox and I'm just going to use the word keys. Now I want this to be rotated, so I'm going to use the rotation box up here and type in 90. That moves it across quite nicely. Probably got too many keys up there, so let's take out some of those. I'm going to increase the size holding down the shift key so that it resizes proportionately. And I would like to change the font as well. And for that I'm choosing one of the embroidery fonts, not a true type font. And I'm going to go for Athletica. That works for me. I'm going to set the text to black. I'm going to set that outline to navy. And I'll leave the background fill as it is. The colours here aren't necessarily the colours that I'm going to stitch out. I'm just using them to create stops in the actual finished stitch out. I'm now going to select all of those and use the align features to align them horizontally and vertically. And then I'll move that off to one side. Because I'm using a large heap, I could do more than one at once. So with them all selected, let's just reselect everything. I press Ctrl D and that will duplicate everything. I'm going to do that one more time so that I have 3 copies. Now all I have to do is select each part and change some parameters. So for this one, I'm going to choose a different fill. I'm going to go for a motif, and I think I will go for the single motifs, circle 02. Let's see if, oh no, I don't want to change that. I think I'll leave everything as it is, but I will change the colour. The text I want to change, and I'm going to change the actual phrase to something like Mum's car. Oops, not card, car. And the font I would like to change as well. So you can see how quickly you can make up different variations here. I think I will go for narrow block. Mum's car. Okay, that's it for that one. For this one, again, I'm going to change the background. Go for another motif, single motifs, and I would like to choose shapes 33. Yep. And the font I'm going to change as well, because this one is going to be for Dad's Taxi. For this one I'm going to choose stencil block. Looks okay, doesn't it? And then the colour, again, I'll change just to a random different colour. Let's say orange. And that's my three things set up, but I'm going to just reorder things in the sequence docker. I'm going to put all of the text at the top. No, at the bottom, sorry, because I want it to stitch out last. And the three outlines I'm going to stitch first. They're going to serve a couple of purposes. One, they're going to be a cutting guide for me later. In fact, actually on that basis I can probably increase the stitch length. Not too familiar with decimals when it comes to imperial measurements, so I'll just change to millimeters to do this. Let's say 5, just a loose long stitch. As I was saying, yes, they're going to serve two purposes. One, to give me a cutting guide for when I come to cut these out, but secondly, to hold the fabric and stop it stretching during the push-pull compensation for these stitches. I'm not sure whether it will or won't. It's just an extra measure that I've put in to help out. Now, so that one, that one, that one. So I know I've got 3 of these to start. They'll all be the same colour. And then I've got 3 different colours. And then all 3 of these text use the same colour. So I'm not too worried about changing them for the exact threads this time round. I'm just going to do a dirty job and chuck it out by exporting the design, take it over to my machine and stitch it out. Then I'll show you, then I'll come back here and show you how to put the key fobs together. Putting the key fobs together is quite simple. When you've finished stitching, cut around the outer stitch line, then trim away the stabilizer to the edge of the stitching. Fold over and glue the edges, and then glue a piece of something to the back. I've used faux leather here. It could just be a piece of cotton. Doesn't really matter. Then fold over and stick the ends together. Fabric glue would work well, but if you're desperate, a bit of double-sided tape. Don't worry, it's not going to be seen. This is the key fob hardware. There's a flat side and a side with a couple of teeth. And obviously the split ring is already included. These are the pliers that are going to help us crimp that hardware closed. As you can see, they're rubber capped to help prevent scratches on your metal hardware. Once your key fob has had time to dry, put a piece of double-sided tape or fabric glue inside the key fob hardware. Insert your embroidered key fob strip. And then using the pliers, crimp that shut. Start at the middle and just get it so that it's gripped, and then give it a couple of extra presses towards the outside of that hardware. That will help set everything in place. Don't push them too hard together, as the metal hardware could actually cut through your fabric. You just basically want them enough so that those teeth have pierced the fabric and that the fabric is held well. And that's it. Super simple. Now you could make these as long as you need to, or as long as you can embroider, and obviously put whatever message you want on and whatever pattern. The choice is yours. Make them as custom gifts or even as little things to sell on your craft stall. There you go. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope to see you next time.